Are you in a position of being an executor or executrix of an estate where real estate needs to be sold? Well, in this video, we're going to give you a step-by-step guide to help you navigate through the estate process. We realize this isn't going to be the most fun conversation to have, but it is crucially important to know the facts if you find yourself in this situation. And we're going to get to it right now.
Here at the Living in Central PA team, we have worked with a lot of estates over the years and brought them all to smooth settlements. Now, there are a few more moving parts to an estate sale versus a resale, just a regular home resale. There are different documents that are needed. You're going to have to set up an estate account. And of course, you'll have to handle the evaluation and the disbursement of assets and so on. In dealing with and speaking with our clients who have handled estates, it became clear to us almost across the board that they felt a little overwhelmed and, to be honest, a little ill-prepared for what was in front of them. Now, these estates are already heavy enough, they usually involve the death of a family member or a loved one, and any additional stress or anxiety should definitely be avoided at all costs. It can delay the process, it can infuriate the beneficiaries of the estate. There can be strife. We want a smooth transaction. We want all parties to be happy. So we figured we'd offer some insight into this process based on our experience, which will give our future clients the guidance and support they need to tackle these estates in a smooth and confident manner. Now, keep in mind, our participation as realtors is only part of the full spectrum of individuals who are going to make this estate transaction happen. Very likely you'll have to contact an attorney, you'll have to get bank accounts set up, you'll deal with funeral homes for the death certificate and county offices like the Register of Wills. You'll have to prepare the home for sale by dispersing the personal property and preparing it for market. That will likely include some sort of clean out or an auction or a public sale. The good news is we have all those resources for you here at the Living in Central PA team. From soup to nuts, we've got it all covered. All of those individuals that I just named and more. As a matter of fact, as part of today's segment, we are going to be interviewing an attorney who has experience with wills and estates and also happens to be a very close friend of us here at the Living in Central PA team. So you can hear directly from them the important list of things to consider when you are the executor or executrix of an estate. We want to give you the best information, so let's get to it.
If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Central Pennsylvania, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications. That way we can help you make a smooth move to the area. All right, back to the video. What is a will? Well, a will is a legal document that describes how you would like your property and assets to be distributed after your death. When you make a will, you can also use it to nominate guardians, such as your children, dependents, or even your pets. Here are 4 legal terms that you should know. Number 1, testator, the person who creates a will. Number 2, the executor or executrix. This is the person that the testator appoints to carry out their will. Number 3, beneficiaries. These are the people or organizations who are left the cash or other assets in the will by the testator. And number 4 is going to be probate. This is the judicial process whereby a will is proven in a court of law and accepted as a valid public document that is the true last testament of the deceased. Now, when you pass away with a will, the will is usually presented to a local probate court. This court then authorizes the executor to distribute your assets according to the instructions in your will, as long as there's no disputes or other problems. If you pass away without a will, it's called dying intestate. In those cases, a local court will distribute your property according to your state's intestacy laws. These typically give your spouse, partners, children, parents, siblings, or other relatives a part of your property, but this may not necessarily be in the order or amounts you like. Now, many assume that they're too young to need a will, Some people believe they don't have enough assets or have a big enough net worth to necessarily have a will. You might even think it's too late to start one. But everybody needs a will. Everybody.
Thanks, Aaron. So now we really understand the importance of the will. It's going to be the will that names an executor or an executrix or administrator of the estate. Once that person is assigned, they will go get a death certificate from the funeral home that handled the funeral arrangements for the deceased. With those two documents, you're going to go get a short certificate. What's a short certificate? It is a legal document that shows the decedent's name or the deceased's name and their date of death. It will also show the name of the executor or executrix that has been named to handle the affairs of the estate. A short certificate can be obtained at the Register of Wills office in the county courthouse. Now, speaking of courthouse, we're going to take you down now to downtown Harrisburg and meet with attorney Rosen from Krevsky and Rosen, who has a lot of experience in these sorts of things. We'll see you there.
So here we are in downtown Harrisburg at a law office that we've done plenty of business with in the past that specializes in wills and estates. Josh is going to go ahead and interview one of the partners because you know here at the Living in Central PA team, we always have to give you all the information you need to make an informed decision. So let's go.
All right, so here we are at the law firm of Krevsky and Rosen on Front Street, right on the river in downtown Harrisburg. And yes, Krevsky as in Sanford Krevsky, my father and his esteemed partner, Mr. Larry Rosen, who I've known most of my life. I grew up with his son, and I trust this man with my life. So his information is very valuable, and we're very happy to have you here to help us out today. Thank you.
It's nice to be here.
So we called Larry because Larry has done a lot of work with wills and estates over his career, and he has some great information for us. So the first question that I have, Attorney Rosen, is when acting as an executor or an executrix, there are certain documents that you have to get from the state to establish the estate account and to move through the process of the real estate transfer. Briefly, what those important documents are and where you get them.
Well, the first thing you want to do is open up an estate. So you're going to need a death certificate. And that you would normally get from the funeral home, if there is a funeral home, or the Department of Vital Statistics here in Harrisburg or various branch offices. But you must have a death certificate to open up the estate. Next thing you want to do, go to the Register of Wills with a death certificate and a will if you have one. If there's no will, then that's a different story, and you have to open up the estate without a will. And there are forms you'll need, and you can normally get those either online or you can get Wills office in the county courthouse. When you go to the Register of Wills, if you haven't filled the forms out yourselves, they're more than happy to help you do that. They're not very complicated, but they're going to want to know the identity of the person who passed away, who you are. If there's a will, it will name an executor. If there is no will, then you'll name a proposed administrator. If there's a will, it's called an executor. If there's not a will, then the person acting as an executor is called an administrator or administratrix if it's a female, or an executrix if it's a female. And you fill those forms out. Once you get that done, you pay a small fee to the Register of Wills, and then you're named either the executor or the administrator of the estate. They'll swear you in right there. And then within a couple of days, you'll get a number of, they're called short certificates, representing you are the person who's been appointed by the county to act as the administrator or executor of the estate, giving you certain authority. For example, you can go to the bank and open up an estate account by providing them one of those. Any documents you might need from anybody else that are holding financial documents or information that you need that might be confidential, when you provide them with a copy of the short certificate, you're entitled to whatever they have. For example, if you go to a bank and want to inventory a safe deposit box, you'll have to provide the bank with a copy of the short certificate verifying that you are indeed the representative of the estate. So those are the kinds of things you need to get started. Whether it's a small estate or a large estate is irrelevant. You'll need the same documents as you would regardless of the size of the estate.
Okay, so big question for you here. It seems that the will is that really central, essential document that everything comes after. So what happens if there's no will? What do we do in this?
Well, then there's a statute which provides for the distribution of the assets based upon, for example, a spouse, siblings, children, grandchildren, parents, depending upon who has survived the decedent. There's normally a statute in Pennsylvania, there certainly is, as to how the proceeds are to be divided. You can always do a family settlement. So, for example, the statute says, or even if the will says, that it's to be handled a certain way. If all of the beneficiaries agree to change that and want to enter an agreement, they can do that. That doesn't normally happen, but it can.
Now, bringing it back to real estate, assuming that we've gone through these steps that you just outlined for us, in your experience, having worked with a lot of these estates over the years, at what point do you introduce a real estate agent to your client and make that connection?
Well, I would say pretty early, because oftentimes the real estate is going to be the largest asset in the estate. Most of the time it's going to be sold. And you bring in the real estate, not just to sell the property, but to advise you as how to make that property most attractive, the highest sale price, because that benefits everybody. So I would say as early as possible in the process, because you might not even list a house for sale for a few months, but to have the real estate agent on board is an invaluable asset to have.
Absolutely. And Aaron and I have talked in the past on our channel about the importance of preparation always when you're selling a home. And that's particularly important with these estate sales, because there are so many boxes to check in these situations. I really want to thank you for your expertise and your time today. You and I have had many great conversations over the years. This is just another one that we happen to get on camera today.
I appreciate you asking me.
Absolutely. If you have questions that we didn't cover today about wills or estates that would be best utilized for a counselor or an attorney, please reach out to Attorney Rosen here at Krebsky & Rosen in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, if you don't already have a family attorney or an estate attorney to answer your further questions. Again, we appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
That's going to wrap up our video today on estates. If you want more information, if you find yourself in this situation, be sure you reach out to us. We have the resources you need. We got your back. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, make sure you subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications. That way we can help you make a smooth move to the area. This is Aaron and Josh with the Living in Central PA team. Until next time.